What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to TTP Sports. And oh my God, the Sixers. That was just the most ugly. That was probably one of the ugliest losses of the season that I've ever seen from this team. Like, how you started off so hot in the world, just hitting everything, scoring 37 points in the first quarter, and then just going dead the rest of the way. Seriously, when the bench came out, like that first rotation, when Joel Embiid went out and DeAndre Jordan came in, just felt like all the momentum just shifted in a completely different direction. Not to say that the rest of the game, Joel Embiid, James Harden, all those other guys, they were like fantastic. They were not. Joel Embiid struggled mightily in this game. James Harden struggled mightily. Like both, Joel Embiid just struggled shooting in general. James Harden struggled shooting everything. Really, your best offensive performers were Tyrese Maxey and Matisse Thybulle, in my honest opinion. Those were your best performers tonight. And when Matisse Thybulle is one of your best offensive scorers in the game, you got a problem. You got a real problem. Like, Tyrese Maxey was great tonight. He was basically the only guy that was generating any type of momentum. Just seriously, Joel Embiid struggled. James Harden struggled. Tobias Harris struggled. The bench struggled as always. And after you get that hot start in the first, it just completely died. And if I see, like, on Twitter, John Clark posted it immediately on Twitter. Like, going through the rest of this game, the Sixers, after scoring 37 points in the first quarter, only 17 in the second, 20 in the third, and just 14 points in the fourth quarter. 14 points in the fourth. So 37. So basically, oh, geez, you barely scored the rest of the game. Like, even though, like, Toronto, they weren't, the best offensively. They were, getting fouls. They were going to the line. They were, stingy defensively. A lot of calls weren't getting called on them, especially the Sixers. Even when the Sixers went to the line, some of their guys were missing shots, or like the Sixers felt like they were taking a lot of contested shots. There weren't, like, many open, anything. It just felt like ever since that opening start of the game, there just wasn't anything. It was just a bad game. Bad game, horrible. And honestly, before this game started, we all saw with Joel Embiid being questionable to start this game with the back soreness. I kind of felt like he should have rested, especially when you have like a very quick turnover tomorrow. Even though the game is in Philadelphia, you still have a game in less than 24 hours against Miami, a way tougher opponent than the Toronto Raptors. So I kind of think Joel Embiid maybe should have rested this game, and maybe this, the performance in this game kind of shows that, even though Joel Embiid probably said it himself to Doc Rivers that he was going to play this game regardless. But I kind of think Doc should have went over Joel Embiid a little bit and rested him for this game, just my honest opinion, just because this entire game was garbage. It was. But before we get into everything with this game, like I said, what's going on, everyone, and welcome back to TTP Sports. And if you are new to the channel, I definitely recommend hitting that subscribe button if you're looking for all the latest Philadelphia sports news, recaps, and events. This is the place to be at, depending on the outcome, great or miserable, depending on the outcome. And if you're a current viewer of the channel, I'm grateful for you being here that long and looking to continue that down the road. And if you're looking for tickets to upcoming sporting events, concerts, whatever you can think of, use the code TTP Sports down below for $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. So if you want to go see some Sixers action, Joel Embiid, James Harden, Tyrese Maxey at the Wells Fargo Center, get some Sixers tickets. Baseball's back, get some opening day tickets, get some spring training tickets to see the Phillies. All those players in the lineup, Bryce Harper, Nick Castellanos, Kyle Schwarber, everyone there. Can't pass that up. If you want to put yourself through a Flyers game, why not? If you want to go to the Eagles game when that season comes back, go ahead. Can't pass that up. $20 in your pocket. Use that for parking. Use that for food, drinks at the arena. Can't pass that up. Use the code TTP Sports now. $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. So the Sixers fall in a very ugly game, a very low scoring game, actually, to the Toronto Raptors, 93-88. And it was just insanely ugly, like I described. Just looking at the starters in this game, even though looking at the starters right now, a lot of them were a plus. In this game, the bench was just a monstrosity in the minus category. Niang with a minus 22, even though he was the best performer off of the bench in this game. Nothing that was really his fault. You got DeAndre Jordan being a minus 10. You got Danny Green being a minus 9, really not factoring into anything on the scoreboard, getting 3 points. Paul Reed got a little bit of time, and he was a minus 6. Shake Milton, in his little stint in the game, was a minus 9. So, yeah, the bench was oh, God. Oh, boy. The bench. The bench is, the biggest mystery in the entire world. And just this game in general, Toronto was very aggressive, especially on those offensive boards. I felt like every time the Sixers got a stop, they weren't aggressive enough to grab those boards. Toronto was getting them left and right, and they were getting those second chance opportunities and they were finishing them. A lot of the flaws in this game, represented by the Sixers, their flaws, they were exposed tonight. Bench, lack in transition defense, rebounding. It was all a factor in this game. And when you go through these stints and when you struggle to hit your shots, a lot of that stuff's going to really stand out. And that really stood out tonight when, Joel Embiid does not have a good night, when he's off shooting, when James Harden doesn't have a good night. And like I said, when your best scorers are Tyrese Maxey and Matisse Thybulle. Seriously, it's not a recipe for success. And exactly tonight was not a recipe for success. If you look at the starting rotation, Tobias Harris with a terrible night, 5 measly points, 0 of 4 from the 3, 2 of 9 from the field, only went to the free throw line once and went 1 of 2 from there, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Joel Embiid, even though he got 21 points on the night, he was just off. He was very, very, very off. 21 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 6 of 20 from the field. That's how much he struggled shooting the ball. Majority of his points came from the free throw line. He was 0 of 3 from the 3-point line, 9 of 11 from free throws. Just a very bad night for Joel Embiid, a very off night. And like I said, I feel like this is one of those games where Doc Rivers should have considered resting him, even though we've been having that discussion the past so many weeks now. Like Joel Embiid might need a resting day. And I think especially with the back-to-back, tomorrow's game against Miami, a way tougher opponent, he probably should have rested him. And that's just my honest opinion. And this game, maybe clearly showed it. Hopefully, Joel Embiid comes out tomorrow. Who knows how it's going to work with his minutes because he played 37 minutes in this game. And now you got to play back-to-back. Who knows how those minutes are going to be stagnated. That it's going to be very questionable what Doc Rivers is going to be doing tomorrow. My goodness. And just the play calling at the end of the game, too. I know, the James Harden situation at the end of the game with, being transferred to a flagrant foul. I don't think it was a flagrant. I can see it being an offensive foul. I feel like going to a flagrant is just a little bit extreme. But still, I can see it being the offensive foul. I'm not going to go insanely crazy. I don't think that cost the game for the Sixers. Just if you go into the previous possessions before that, when it was 20 seconds left in the game or 15 seconds left in the game, where Joel Embiid has the ball and he turns it over immediately and it goes down the other way for one of those James Harden fouls that had to be reviewed for 20 minutes. And that ending of the game, especially when the game starts at 8:30 and they're calling all of these whistles at the end. Come on. Just let the game. And seriously, 8:32. I understand the Flyers played tonight today at 2 o'clock. So that probably impacted the start time of this game. But Jesus, 8:30. I feel bad for the people that went down to the arena. I feel bad for all the media people that had to be down there. And just 8:30 is such a weird start time for Phil. It is. That's just weird. It really is. And just looking at the rest of the starting rotation, Tyrese Maxey, probably your best player overall in today's game, 19 points. He was a plus 10 on the floor. He was basically the best plus minus for the Sixers in this game. 4 assists, 1 rebound, 8 of 14 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, 1 of 1 from the free throw line, and that was an and 1. So basically that was it from Tyrese Maxey. But still, he was basically your energizer today, and no one followed suit. No one followed through with Tyrese Maxey in the energy that he was trying to bring throughout this game. Matisse Thybulle got off to that very hot start in the beginning of the game, finished with 12 points. He hit the first 2 threes that he took. I was very surprised that he hit it. I was surprised that he hit his first 2 threes in the game. Seriously, he had 8 points to start in that first quarter. Still, he was still one of your better offensive producers. Just saying. 3 steals, 4 blocks for Tyrese Maxey. Not Tyrese Maxey, Matisse Thybulle. This game was just so bad that I'm getting so confused at this point. It was that bad. My brain's melted at this point. Matisse Thybulle, 4 of 6 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, 2 of 2 from the free throw line. So overall, I'm not going to say Matisse Thybulle was the issue in this game. I thought he played pretty solid. It's just really everyone else stood out. That was just bad. It just really was. And looking at James Harden in this game, 17 points. He was a -1, the only starter in this game to be a minus. He had 6 turnovers in this game, 2 steals, 8 assists, 9 rebounds, 5 of 12 from the field, 0 of 4 from 3, 7 of 10 from the free throw line. James Harden was just bad tonight. He was. Seriously, when everyone that you possibly could have thought of in this game was bad. Was very bad. Really, the only person in this game that stood out to me was Tyrese Maxey, and that was it. I'm not even going to say Matisse Thybulle was bad. I thought he was okay, but he really, It's just when, you see Joel Embiid have a bad night, James Harden have a bad night, also Tobias Harris having a bad night, even though he's had multiple of those this season. It's, kind of bothering, kind of very bothering, especially when you have a big game tomorrow against Miami. And the Sixers as a whole, they shot 41% from the field. They shot 25% from three after that very hot start in this game. And I want to see the rebounding in this game. Yeah. The Raptors, especially on the offensive side, the Raptors grabbed 20 offensive boards, 20. And a lot of those turned into second chance scoring opportunities for the Raptors. And that's how they got a lot of their points in this game. The Raptors, they only shot 37% from the field and 26% from the three. So it's not like their shooting night was fantastic. They were just out rebounding the Sixers. They were just out aggressing them, just basically out everything in them, except for basically shooting. That was basically it. The Sixers just gave up. It felt like it gave up on those extra board chances. They just gave up on those defensive opportunities after they got those stops. It just felt like that. And they were very sloppy with the turnovers. Very, very, very sloppy. Sixers had 10 turnovers total in this game. You got the Raptors, they get 16 points off of, fast breaks. You got points off turnovers. They got 10 points off of turnovers, points in the paint. They get 50. It's just very ugly all around. And just looking at that offensive rebounding stat, combined from both teams, just 20 rebounds for the Raptors, 5 for the Sixers, just getting out rebounded. It was bad. It was so bad. My goodness. And this is one of those games where, we've said it so many times in the past couple of weeks, where games where you have to throw away in the trash. I don't with the Brooklyn Nets game. That's not a game that you throw away in the trash though, because of how bad you played and how basically out everything you had. This is one of those other games where you have to keep and look at the film, look at whatever happened, and literally, or you're just going to say it was just an off night for literally everyone. Are you going to blame it on that? You got out hustled in basically every category possible. So, ugly. And the flaws for the Sixers, they continue, we know this team is flawed. We definitely know. We know the bench is bad. We know the rebounding is bad. We know the transition defense is bad. And they're going to have their nights when they are, they have their off shooting nights. And sadly, a lot of those things came to fruition tonight. Sadly. But I guess you have a chance to rebound tomorrow, back-to-back against the Miami Heat at 7:30. It was originally a 7 o'clock game but then they moved it back to 7:30 because then I would assume the NBA realized, hey, this team is playing 8:30 the previous night. Let's give them a little break. Let's play them at 7:30 the next night instead of 7. So got a really tough game tomorrow against Miami. I wonder how everything would be tomorrow with the minutes, how much he's going to be playing tomorrow with him being questionable tonight. And then you go on the road for 3 straight games. You got both Los Angeles teams, the Lakers on Wednesday, the Clippers on Friday, 10 o'clock and 10:30 games there. You're on the road Sunday again in Phoenix to play the Suns. You're back home against Milwaukee, wrapping up March against Detroit, actually in Detroit on the 31st. And then you go into your few April games. So the Sixers, a little bit of up and downs, up and down, big ups, big downs, and now you're bouncing back and forth. So how do you bounce back tomorrow? How do you respond tomorrow? That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for with this team. And I want to see what your thoughts are after this game. So if you didn't tune into this live, I definitely, if you're watching a recap of this, not live, definitely leave those comments and opinions down in the comment section below. I like to listen to those as always. Do not forget to drop a like on this video. Do not forget to check out the panel lines, which I'm a part of. The links are down in the description below. Also, don't forget to check out the links to BrodesMedia, the Florida Pod merch website, and also Flyers Nitty Gritty. All that good stuff is down in the description below. Don't forget to check those out. And like I said at the beginning of the video, the most important thing you can do is hit that sub button. Also hit the like button as well. I would greatly appreciate that. And use the code TTPSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. And I will see you next time.